Test. Hey, Ducklo with the follow.
There we go. All right. Well, we will. I think I'm rolling off the computer mic here, so if the sound quality is a little down tonight, I apologize, but at least you can hear me now, I think. All right. Well, we will. I think I'm rolling off the computer mic here, so if the All right, it's coming through. Sorry about the double audio there. I had to listen to it on the. Had to listen to it on the on my phone real quick to make sure you can hear me. But anyway, so as I was trying to say, um, Bengals made a good signing today, extending Sam Hubbard. They basically had two individuals that they need to get signed this offseason. Sam Hubbard being one, the other being Jesse Bates. So a lot of initial reactions for Sam Hubbard. His contract again, 4 years, $40 million. The initial reaction was that the Bengals basically overpaid for that type of production. And to the casual fan, it probably looks like an overpay. $10 million a year, and Sam Hubbard had 2 sacks last year. That said, there's a reason why. Now let's be very clear. Top end edge rushers, you're looking at about 25 million a year, roughly speaking. Um, Middle of the road, probably about where Sam's at with that $10 million a year. It's not an upper echelon contract, but nonetheless, Bengals, of course, getting backlash for the signing in the national spotlight. Let me give you some insight on Sam Hubbard, though. Okay, Sam Hubbard is probably the best, if not one of the best, defensive ends in terms of stopping the run. Some statistics for you. In 13 games played last season, Sam Hubbard, 31 run stops, first in his position. 11.7 run stop percentage, first in edge rushers. 38 tackles on run plays, first for edge rushers. So while Sam Hubbard isn't getting to the quarterback as much as you'd want, anyone would want, particularly out of the defensive end position, Sam Hubbard is dominant in run stopping. So I like the contract. I think it's very team friendly. Um, some more data and information on the contract specifically. So the Sam Hubbard is due. It's an extension on his current deal. Ducklow with a comment, great extension. I agree, and here's why. He's due $2.4 million this year, and $40 million over the life of the extension. Some of that will be a signing bonus. So the next 5 years for Sam Hubbard, you're getting him at $8.48 million a year. That's his average over the next 5 seasons because of this extension. That's great. That's a great deal in terms of, again, top of the line, top tier. Shane, what's up, brother? Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you. Oh, I can't wait for fantasy. Cannot wait. Houday and the Blowfish getting back on top this season. So when you're looking at that deal, you're looking at over the course of the contract, 8.5 over 5 years. That's the average that we're going to be paying Sam. That's a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. Again, top tier edge rushers are clearing 20, almost 25 mil a year for that position. And again, that's what you're paying. We're not paying him to lead the league in sacks. That's not what that contract is. He's going to be on the field a lot more, I would think, going forward. A lot of rotational work over the last couple of seasons. But all in all, I mean, Sam is, again, dominant on the run defense. So looking forward to seeing more of that. I like the signing. Some other news out of Cincinnati. So basically, today was the day when the Bengals announced, some roster moves in terms of injuries. Unable to play, the PUP list, physically unable to perform or play or something like that is how it's categorized. And I'm trying to think of what the other, basically just like non-injury related reserved list and things like that, some roster moves. Joe Burrow is on none of those. The report out is that Joe Burrow will be a full participant in training camp and not put on the PUP list, as per Ian Rappaport, just 8 months from ACL tear. I mean, that's pretty impressive. If you're a Bengals fan, if you're a Joe Burrow fan, if you just enjoy watching young stars succeed in this league, that's got to be great news. Was planning on getting into a little bit of, projecting. Maybe we'll get into that tonight. Kind of projecting Joe Burrow season 2, and what I did was I kind of looked at some quarterbacks as of late. Some of the younger quarterbacks in the league, what they did their first year, and the step they took into their second year in comparison to what Joe Burrow did in his, 7 or 8. I think it's 7 games in this season, and what we could look forward to next year. So maybe we'll get into that tonight. I'm not super prepared for it, so I don't want to just jump in and do it. Top 10? What do you mean? Is Burrow going to be a top 10 quarterback? Is that what you're asking me, Ducklow? That would be tough. That would be a tough go. That's his kind of his ceiling. I think at this point, that'd be the best thing that you could ask for. Whereas his floor, I think, is probably middle of the road. So somewhere in that range, like 16 to 10 is probably where you're going to find him. I don't know. I don't want to get overly optimistic and sit here and say that he could, be a top 7 quarterback at the end of the year, but I don't know. Joe Burrow's pretty impressive in most facets of football. So he's not. I just sat here and told you about how he was 8 months out from an ACL tear, and now he's looking full go, ready to go for training camp. So anybody that doubts anything he does, he's typically one to shoot those people down pretty quickly with the play on the field. So been a lot of talk about him over the last week, actually, in the national media. Getting some love. Some people out there saying that the Bengals are going to the playoffs this year because they think that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and no one's talking about Tyler Boyd. I love it. I mean, the guy just puts up $1,000, puts up 1,000 yards pretty much every single season, and the guy gets absolutely no love. But easily one of the best slot receivers in the league, easily. I can't wait to see Jamar Chase either, Doc. I cannot wait to see that offense. And Joe Mixon's going to be back fully healthy. And I feel like the Bengals are going to lean a lot on the running game to help open the pass game. Maybe it'll actually be the opposite. Maybe the pass game, the threat of what could be with that pass game opens up things for Joe Mixon, maybe. But I definitely think, we extended Joe Mixon. Running backs, unfortunately, for the running backs. Bobby, liking the video. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Welcome. Running backs are kind of those positions where it's like you pay for the tires. Now it's time to use the tires. You gotta run them. You gotta feed them the ball. You gotta use them because there's a window, really. Just statistically speaking, there's a window for running backs, and it's not very wide. So when they're young, when they're healthy, when they're strong, run them a lot. So I think fantasy owners, Mixon is somebody that I'm very high on this year, just in terms of workload. Gio is no longer in the picture. Giovanni Bernard took a lot of reps, not away from Mixon, but Gio would produce. You could see, the league is high on Gio too. Now he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so could win a Super Bowl next year, which good for him if they do. But with Gio being gone and running back from Michigan, is Chris Evans? Is that really his name? Like Captain America? I think that's the running back we drafted out of Michigan. He would be the Bobby sharing the video. Man, look at you, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. If we share the videos, whenever we can here on Line to Gain. I say we, like I have a team. It's really just me and my cats. And we share the videos on here. Rally Towel Sports. Todd and Bobby have a twice a week baseball podcast. And if you enjoy the level of attention, or depth that I try to bring to this podcast, that's exactly what they do on the baseball side as well. Very knowledgeable, good conversation, good topics. They engage with the chat as well if you have something to say. So be sure to check out Rally Towel Sports. So with Gio being gone, I think I'm very high on Mixon this year. So if you have the ability to take Joe Mixon, if he slides to the end of the second round, jump on it. I don't know how he would, especially if you're doing a snake draft. He's kind of, if you're at the tail end of your draft, and we'll get into fantasy as that gets closer. But with Shane liking the video, I got my wheels, the wheels in the brain turning. Mixon gets, and Shane, what am I doing? I'm giving you strategy right now. What am I doing? Towards the end of that first round, and when it kicks back around, if you've got that tail end of the snake draft there, be a good time to grab Mixon, in my opinion. Anyway, so I'm big on that, and I think the passing game is going to benefit from it as well. I think they're gonna work well together, the running game and the passing game for the Bengals. And week 1, I will be in the stands at Paul Brown Stadium with a bunch of my friends. For my buddy Noah, it's his 30th birthday. 30th birthday, so we're going to be celebrating there at P Brown. So I try not to draft Bengals. I get that. I know why. I mean, it's like I'm biased, right? So it's like I'm overvaluing that player in fantasy automatically because I'm a fan of them. So just eliminating that from my brain allows me to draft more clearly in fantasy. Evan McPherson, Gator on the Bengals, and he is a stud of a kicker. Just would absolutely just put 60-yard field goals through on a rope. You'll be at Paul Brown Stadium too, Ducklow. Perfect. Perfect. Well, I'll be seeing you there. I'll be seeing you this weekend, actually. Tying that knot. Can't wait, man. Can't wait. So week 1, we play the Vikings. And in case you didn't hear, and you're going Urban Meyer night. Urban, is that what we're calling it? Our Thursday night game against the Jaguars, you're calling that Urban Meyer night? Oh, man. So, yeah, like I said, week 1, the Bengals are playing the Vikings. And in case you didn't hear, the NFL has a new policy for COVID. And essentially, I want to pull up the policy, so so I'm not just paraphrasing. So essentially, here's the status of vaccinated players in the league as of, when did this article come out? Thursday. As of Thursday, this came out. Essentially, more than 78% of players league-wide have had at least one dose of their vaccine. 14 football teams have at least 85% of their players vaccinated. Reports are that the Bengals are one of those 14 teams. Where it comes with Lions, Bills, I haven't heard. Titans, I haven't heard. Colts, I haven't heard. So if I hear anything about those guys, I'll let you know. My ear's a lot closer to the ground when it comes to the Bengals. All 32 teams have at least 50%. Which, okay. So according to Thursday's memo, vaccinated players or staff who test positive and are asymptomatic can return to duty after 2 negative tests that are 24 hours apart. For non-vaccinated persons who test positive, 2020 protocols remain in place. In essence, the NFL is telling its clubs to up their efforts to convince players to get vaccinated. Otherwise, the burden of risk falls on the team should an outbreak occur. And why is that? It's because this year they've come out and say that we don't anticipate postponing games due to COVID outbreaks. We're not going to do it. If your team cannot field a team because your unvaccinated players are in COVID protocol, or they have tested positive and asymptomatic, or they have symptoms or anything like that, if your non-vaccinated players get COVID and you can't field a team, you're going to take a forfeit. You're going to lose. So the NFL is putting the onus on the teams and are saying, if you don't want to risk losing games, get your players vaccinated. Some teams are doing it. Some teams aren't. Some players. Let's not throw whole teams into it. Some players aren't. We're going to talk about that. But in this situation, it was a coach. Now, if I were to ask you, what's the best part about the Vikings? What is the best part about the Vikings? What are they most successful at? Where do they excel? I would say their running game. I'd say they have a top 3 running back in the league. Top 5 if you really want to start splitting hairs. Dalvin Cook. Right? Are we all on board with that? This week, earlier this week, at the end of the week, the work week, their offensive line and running game coordinator was either He left, parted ways, was fired. Doesn't matter. He's no longer with the team. Did he have a scandal where he was doing blow with hookers like the Miami Dolphins did a couple years ago? Nope. This guy didn't want to get his COVID shot. And so the Vikings said, here's a banker's box. Take the shit on your desk, put it in it, and walk out the door. That's where we're at now. You don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. You do not need to get vaccinated if you don't want to. However, if you want to work for this team, you need to get vaccinated. That's what the Vikings are said. How do you feel about it? That's what I want to know. I'm curious what your thoughts are. There's another person in the news, adamantly in the news, mostly on Twitter, and that's generating the news, quote unquote. Mr. Cole Beasley. Mr. Cole Beasley is taking issue with the vaccine. He personally came out and said that he was not for taking the vaccine. He didn't trust it, whatever his reasons are. He doesn't want to do it. It doesn't really matter what his reasons behind it are. He just didn't want to do it. Okay, cool. That's his personal choice. Now the NFL has come out and said this. They made this new policy for this year, and he still doesn't want to do it. And this is pissing off some of his teammates. His GM earlier had said that he has no problem releasing a player that won't get the vaccine. I have no problem releasing you if you're not going to get a vaccine. NFL teams are making a decision right now that they know the rules of the game, and the rules of the game are as such. You test positive, you have an outbreak, you can't field a team, you lose. What does an NFL team try and do every week? They try and win. So if you tell them how they can lose, they're going to do the opposite of that. They want to get vaccinated. They want to get their players vaccinated. If you're not on board with that, if you're not with us, PJ Fleck rowing the boat, right? If you're not doing that, bye. We don't have time for you. That's the mentality right now in the NFL. Look at it through a different lens. Let's look at college. The Alabama Crimson Tide are currently over 90% vaccinated, the entire team. More so than any NFL team. Why is that important? Why does that matter? Do you think Nick Saban's going to take any chance that he can't win a national championship this year? No. Because you come to Alabama to do one thing. You go to Alabama to win a national championship and increase your likelihood that you're going to the NFL as well. So Alabama is making a choice that we are not going to let anything get in the way of us winning a national championship this year. We're going to get vaccinated. So they made the decision as a team that we're going to get vaccinated and we're going to win. And they probably will. If I had to place money right now on who do I think is going to win the national championship this year in college football, most years it's going to be Alabama. This year it's definitely Alabama. There's been some discussion. You go to Bama to be a lifelong jackwagon, says Bobby. Now, I don't like Alabama. Let me be very clear. I'm a Gators fan. Anybody that knows me knows that. I respect the hell out of them, though. Nick Saban can literally go into the living room of any high school recruit, sit down, look them in the eye, and say, I guarantee you, if you go 4 years with me, you will win a national championship. Because it's true. It's a fact. Ever since he's won his first national championship with Alabama, they have not gone more than 4 years without winning one. he can guarantee you a national championship if you go to Alabama. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the products that they churn out into the pros is ridiculous as well. Anyway, the point being that, you know, Alabama is a winning machine, and in order for them to win, they understand that they need to be able to be on the field. And to be on the field, they need to remove the risk of COVID. And so they're doing that, and they're getting vaccinated. Let me ask you, I'm curious. I'm just going to look this up real quick. How much money would it take for you to get vaccinated? Like, let's say you aren't and you don't want to get vaccinated. How much would it take? I'm just curious. How much would it take? Because if you were an offensive line coach in the NFL, a running game coordinator in the NFL, I'm sure you're not making the minimum. I'm sure you're clearing six figures at that point. But you have one of 32 jobs basically in the NFL that you are the offensive line coach and running game coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. There's only 31 other jobs like that in the world. And let's say you're clearing six figures, probably about 150, maybe $200,000 a year. It's probably what you're making. Would you walk away from that because you didn't want to get a shot? Would you? No, I wouldn't. You know, there's been a lot of talk about like is it like a HIPAA violation? I think people are throwing that term out there, and a lot of people are spelling the acronym wrong, which is pretty funny. But where, like, for instance, my mom works in a hospital. She's required to get a flu shot every year. Every year required to do it. What's the difference? I don't understand it. I'm genuinely asking. I don't know the difference. Why can one business, 'cause that's what a hospital is, right? They provide a service, they get paid for that service. It's a business. One business can require their employees to do certain things, but then other people are saying that the NFL may be looking at lawsuits for requiring this. Do you think the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar organization? Do you think they maybe fucking talked to one lawyer before they decided to do this? Maybe. I don't understand that people are like, oh, they're gonna get sued. They're gonna get sued. They're gonna pay out a lot of money. Maybe they will get sued, and maybe they'll settle and pay some money. But don't you think the NFL knows what they probably talked to some legal counsel? Like I'm a mid-level manager, and we have to talk to legal before I do a lot of different things. So, and I am in no way as influential as the NFL. I'm not dealing with as much money. I know nowhere near as much exposure. So, don't you think they're kind of probably working pretty close with the legal team on this one? Maybe. And Cole Beasley has come out and said that he is they're going to have to release me. They're going to have to cut me. I'm not retiring. I'm not getting the vaccine. He's going to live free, was his quote. Bobby with a comment. They definitely have a risk management department. Yeah, right. Come on. Like, they know what they're doing here, ladies and gentlemen. The NFL does know what they're doing. They probably had the smoothest season of any professional sports league. Better than baseball. Baseball started late. NBA had a shortened season. The NFL just basically moved games around and said, we're getting all of these fucking games in next year. It's going to happen. College football didn't do that. The NFL is a machine, and it won't be stopped. It won't. And so that's why they're making this a requirement. That's why they're doing it, because there's so much money. There's so much money to be made in having a smooth product. One that airs every Sunday, every Monday, every Thursday, sometimes Saturdays. They know what they're doing. And that's why they're doing it. But Cole Beasley is, I mean, he's making his choice, and it's fine. If I'm a teammate of his, if I'm Josh Allen, let's go to that. I'm Josh Allen. Slot receiver is that's what Cole Beasley is, a slot receiver for the Bills. It's a very important position. Very. Like over the last 5 years, slot receiver has become one of in terms of, if they were to do like a line graph of average salary for a slot receiver over the last 5 years, it's exponentially increased more than maybe edge rusher and quarterback might be some of the other ones where the salary has increased more, just due to the market in general. But slot receivers are getting paid a lot more too. If I'm Josh Allen, I'd be fucking pissed. Like, dude, I need you. The Bills, we've talked about this. The Bills are the third overall favorite, at least last time when we checked it. They were the third overall favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. The Bills. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, Cole Beasley is their offense, because that's not true. Stefon Diggs is way more vital to the Bills' success offensively than Cole Beasley. That said, Cole Beasley does have an impact. He has called himself the best slot receiver in the league, which is false. His name is Tyler Boyd. He wears number 83, and he plays for the fucking Cincinnati Bengals. Learn his name. Sorry, I'm just tired of the Tyler Boyd disrespect. I'm tired of it. I won't stand for it on this show. Let's see here. Bobby with a comment. I want to hear your guys' opinions, man. I'm not holding back. You don't hold back either. Lay it in here. Vaccinations are a really interesting topic. There have always been anti-vaxxers, which is why diseases that had been eradicated for the better part of half a century are making a comeback. Fair point. Like measles. we solved that problem. It's coming back now. I mean, there's a lot of skepticism, about the vaccine, and I was actually initially one of them. I was a person, I was like, I'm not fucking getting that. No way. Good luck. You do you, but not me. Now you got it. I'm here. I'm good. Some people had some pretty bad side effects from it. But I'm not going to sit here and turn this into a vaccine show. I don't really like talking about this shit because we've been dealing with it for like a year or two, a year and a half now at this point. But it's hard to keep it separate from sports, or when the vaccine has become so politicized and it's like a right wing, left wing thing about a fucking vaccine, which is crazy. And but it's bleeding into sports now because it is affecting sports. It's affecting the NFL. Clearly, they just created this policy, and I have coaches being fired and players saying you're gonna have to release me. And it's I like to try and keep it a little bit separate and not get too political or anything like that. But it's kind of hard when it literally they're so intertwined now, and there's a lot of things happening that way in life in general. So. Apologize if I'm going a little deep here on the Vax talk, but it's important. It's what's going on in the NFL today. So, last year with COVID, there was a lot of talk about who's going to be successful in this league with COVID, and what it really is about depth. It's about people doing the right thing, wearing their masks, not doing things to reduce the possibility of them testing positive for COVID. The teams that were able to do that, are the ones that are able to be successful, right? The 49ers come to mind. They had a lot of people on COVID. They had a lot of injuries. When they got healthy, it seems like some players, were on COVID protocol. And they went from a, team that was a year and a half or 2 years removed from the Super Bowl to a team that finished last in their division, picking in the top 5. Well, excuse me, they weren't, and they traded up into it, but nonetheless, bad season, right? So this year, it's going to be the teams that get vaccinated. Those are the teams that are going to put themselves in the best position to win. Because they're not going to put themselves in a position to where they, would have to forfeit a game. What's going to happen is all of these teams are going to reach. I'm just a prediction, but this is what I think is going to happen. All of these teams are going to reach about 90% vaccination rate, team wide. What's happening right now is you're hearing the loudest of a minority. I think most people are okay with getting vaccinated. That's just statistically a fact at this point, actually, that with 60+% of the nation already doing it. But I would say in the NFL as well, most people are okay with it. They will get vaccinated. I think almost every team will probably reach about that 90% vaccination rate before the season even starts. And we probably won't have any postponed, canceled, or moved games. And again, we are hearing the loudest group of a very small minority within the NFL. I think even if you talk to most people that haven't gotten the vaccine yet, they're probably like, yeah, I'll probably get it eventually. They just haven't been, put in a position to where they needed to get it, right? They haven't been put in a position where it wouldn't affect their lives one way or the other if they got it. Now, these guys in the NFL, clearly it's going to affect their lives. The Bills GM is saying, I will cut you if you don't get vaccinated. Which kind of gives you like insight as to how serious the Bills are this year going into the season, bringing it back to football. Like they know what kind of team they have, right? They have to. If they're that serious about being successful this season, they have to know, what kind of team they really have, and that they actually do have a pretty good shot of going pretty far. I mean, obviously the Chiefs, at least on paper, the Chiefs are just kind of always they're just on a different planet in terms of the AFC. I think it's like the Chiefs, and then there's a pretty substantial gap, and it's like every other team. I think that has to do with their head coach and quarterback, which is what we've seen out of the AFC for the last 20 years. A dominant head coach quarterback duo. It just used to be in Massachusetts. What else you got for me, folks? And your thoughts, opinions. If you haven't already shared the video, go ahead and do that for tonight. We had a pretty nice little conversation there. That's pretty much all I got for you guys right now tonight. It was interesting. I wanted to just kind of share my opinions about it. Oh, Bobby's jumping in. Haven't gotten it yet. I had COVID last year, so I'm not going to double down since my body has the antibodies to fight it anyway, unless I have to. I don't have a problem getting it. I just don't feel the need since I had COVID. I get that. I thought I heard something that your like antibodies don't last forever, like they go away or something like that. I don't know if that. Again, I heard that. I didn't research that, so maybe look into it. But yeah, I totally get that. That makes sense. It's the best vaccine you could have. Your body has literally fought off the virus already. Let's see here. Ducklo sharing the video. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, won't be on next week. Won't be on the week after that. So I appreciate you guys coming, and we'll come back, and by that time, training camp will be in full swing, I think we're like 49 days out from the season starting, so that's crazy that summer one is going by that fast, and that football is already that close. So once the season gets going, we're gonna have a lot more consistent videos, and we'll be watching Sunday night football together, so that'll be a lot of fun. And again, appreciate everybody who dropped into the chat, shared the video. Oh, wait, I'm not stopping yet. Bobby, what do you think is going to happen with Deshaun Watson? I read that he is reporting. I heard that he is reporting as well. I believe his stance has not changed, though. I think I read something earlier today that said something about Deshaun Watson reported. I'm going to look it up right now. I don't want to speak out of both sides of my mouth here. Let's get this up. This is Adam Schefter reported that quarterback Deshaun Watson will report to the Texans today to avoid being fined $50,000 per day during their training camp. Watson's trade request remains in effect. The source saying nothing has changed in that regard. So basically, he's doing what he has to do to keep his money. And I think he can not play football this year and still get paid. Full contract, I'm pretty sure. Some more details in here. I'm going to look for it before I get into my opinion on what's going to happen. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Watson is basically reporting to camp to make sure he still gets paid. I think currently there are 22 different women that have accused him of sexual assault. I know there's been some speculation as to the validity of those accusations. I will not comment on that because I don't know anything really about any of the accusers other than the fact that he has been accused of sexual assault. So, from what do I think is going to happen? I think you're kind of looking, removing the legal issues for Deshaun Watson out of the way. I think you're looking at kind of like a Carson Palmer situation, both for the Texans and for Deshaun. He wants to be traded. The organization, it doesn't, that's their franchise quarterback, right? They don't want to trade him if they don't have to, but he probably just won't play. And I think he's okay with doing that. I think he's okay with focusing on one shit storm at a time right now in his life. If you could get paid that much and not get destroyed behind the corpses that the Texans are going to bring out this year and call an offensive line, wouldn't you? If I was Deshaun Watson, I wouldn't want to play for them either. They're a joke. They literally traded away every asset that he had. Again, not getting into the legal stuff for him, we'll share opinions if, when the truth comes out in regards to that, and hopefully they do go to trial and the truth does come out one way or the other, and I'll share my opinions on that then. But just purely football, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I don't want to play for the Texans either. If I can get out of there, I will. They had a little window, it looked like they were going to be really, really good there. And then I can't even remember their head coach, GM anymore at this point. He's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And all the deals that they made just absolutely robbed that organization. They set them like 5 to 10 years back, really. I think the Rams are going to fare with Stafford and McVay at the helm. I like Matt Stafford. I think he can do well. I think, obviously, McVay is one of the best coaches in the league. It's particularly I don't know what you're talking about. Duckless. I don't know what you mean. Okay. Yeah, Cam Akers getting hurt. Yeah, I think it was his Achilles. Cam Akers tore his Achilles. He's out for the season. Yeah, tough. Saw a lot of chat about you need to draft Cam Akers in your fantasy league this year. No, you don't. Homie ain't playing. No, it sucks for him. No, sorry, I didn't mean to make light of that. It sucks for Cam Akers. Anyway, I think they're gonna be okay. I don't know. I mean, Matt Stafford's numbers are crazy if you look at them. But so was one of his receivers that he had for a really long time. And arguably, physically speaking, like one of the most physically gifted receivers to ever play football, if not the most physically gifted receiver ever, Calvin Johnson. I haven't done this, but I would really be curious as to what Matt Stafford's numbers would look like if you took away all the Megatron stats. I feel like they're not as good. Now that said, I don't necessarily think that like teams that are successful, it's not just because they have a good quarterback and a good receiver, or they just have a good passing game. There's so many layers to football. It's like you have to be able to run the ball. You don't have to lead the league in rushing, but you have to be able to run the ball when you need to run the ball. You have to be able to convert on third down. You have to be able to get first downs. Teams that do that typically are the ones that put themselves in a good position on first and second down. So that third down isn't monumental, right? You have to be able to stop the other team on defense. You have to be able to stop the run. You have to be able to get to the quarterback, cause pressure, not necessarily even just make sacks. You have to just be able to flush the quarterback out, disrupt their plan. And you have to limit mistakes on special teams. You have to be able to make reasonably makeable field goals. There's a lot of different aspects to football. So that said, Matt Stafford at the Lions, I don't necessarily think they did that every single year for him. You know what I mean? They didn't have an effective running game most of the time that he was there. They had like one 100-yard rushing game, and it was Reggie Bush. I mean, they had a solid defense at times. But I just think there were a lot of gaps missing on that team. So to say like, Stafford never necessarily, competed for even a conference championship is true, and but at the same time, he's probably one of the toughest people in football. There's clips of him literally playing with a broken back, getting obliterated, limping off the field, and leading. There's a famous one of him leading them down the field to win a game against the Browns. So I mean, I think they're going to be okay. Cam, as Nathan pointed out, Cam going down really, really hurts their offense. Be interested to see how they shape it up from there out, but I think they're going to be all right. I think that division is going to be really, really tough. You got the Cardinals, who always come out of the gate really hot. Obviously, the Seahawks are always a contender. The Niners could be in the Super Bowl this year. Obviously, Tampa in the way of that, but still, Niners are going to be a good football team. That division in general is just going to be really, really tough. So I'm optimistic. I hope he does well. I like Matt Stafford. I think he's a good guy. He has twin daughters. I have twin daughters. So hope for the best, but we'll see. All right, boys and girls, pressing up. Oh, here we go. Did you see the Brady video? Yes, I did. I actually tweeted that out at CJB513. You can follow me on Twitter. But yes, I did see that, and it's amazing. If you didn't see this video, I'll find it and I'll post it on the page online again. It's basically Tom Brady out on a football field, just throwing around. And it's one of the what are they? They're like passing machines. They got the two wheels that spin. You feed a ball into it. It shoots the ball out, for receivers to practice catching, deep balls and things like that. Tom Brady's throwing it into the machine, throws it right into the middle, shoots it back out, catches it, throws it in right into the middle, catches it, shoots it back out. Tom Brady grabs it, drops back like another 5 yards, laser right in the middle, knocks the machine down as it's falling, it shoots the ball back up. So Brady's dialed in. It's amazing. It looked like, and a buddy, Travis, he watches the show, he commented on my tweet about it. He said that it looks like one of those old Reebok commercials where the players would be like, lobbying for you to draft them on their fantasy team, and they'd be doing like ridiculous shit, like throwing, a ball. It was all animated and made up, and there's CGI involved and stuff like that. But it's just ridiculous stuff that the players are doing to lobby for you to draft them on their fantasy team. So yes, I did see it. It's amazing. Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. Said it. And if he gets to the Super Bowl, I root for him at this point because we're watching history. That's my opinion on it. Like, yeah, I'm sick of him winning too, but at the same time, as long as it's not my team in the Super Bowl, if Brady's there, I'm probably going to root for him. Just because I like it. I like to see history made. So. One more time. Bell's official hazy IPA is the beer I had tonight. Really good. Try it out if you can find it. Venmo and PayPal are in the link. We are still raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project. I think we're just shy of halfway to our goal. I think we're about $200 in. Looking to raise $400 for the Wounded Warrior Project. So Venmo and PayPal are in the link. Again, 50% of your donation up to our goal will go directly to the Wounded Warrior Project. Once we exceed that goal, 100% of the donations go to the Wounded Warrior Project. So again, Venmo, PayPal are in the link. Once we reach our goal, I post a screenshot of the donation showing how much we were able to donate. That's all I got for tonight, guys. That's all I got in me. Wedding week, so I got 2 days of work. Then I'm playing 27 holes of golf on Wednesday morning. A couple groomsmen and a buddy. Thursday, got some people coming into town. Friday, playing 18 holes of golf. Got the rehearsal dinner, then the wedding on Saturday. Monday morning, we fly out to Jamaica. It's going to be good. If you're coming, can't wait to see you. If you're not, wish you were there. Love you guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks.